What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Another video means another dopamine high, because I had to buy something to feel something, and today we're back at it with another review. Today's review in question is NECA's The Snake Predator, or Snake from Predator 2, meaning he is part of the LA hunting party. Now, during or after the video, you do decide you want to pick up this figure for yourself. You can get him at Target for $36.99. I got my figure in person. There's no page on the Target website just yet, so if you do want to get them from Target, you do have to get them in person. If you do want to get them online, though, there is Entertainment Earth for $39.99, the Big Bad Toy Store for $41.99, and Amazon for $46.99. There will be links in the description of the video if you do want to pick up this figure for yourself, like I said before. And with all that said, for those wondering who the Snake Predator is, what is his backstory, and how does he play a role in Predator 2? Well, at the end of the movie, when the LA hunting party shows themselves, we see all these predators, and they are known as the Lost Tribe. Well, funny enough, Snake is not part of the Lost Tribe. He is part of the Serpent Clan. He just decided to join the Lost Tribe on their hunt during LA, and he was just kind of there. That's pretty much all we know about Snake, besides the fact he does have a brother named Viper. But with all that said, let's get into the review. So starting with the packaging, we have some nice artwork of Snake looking all cool, and then we have the big Predator 2 logo at the bottom, and that same logo is on the sides of the box. And then taking things over to the back, we have some cool photos of Snake with some things that he is included with. We have a nice description of what he is all about, and then going back to the front, opening up the packaging, we have a nice larger photo of Snake, and then of course we have the figure with everything included. Everything looks like it is there, and with all that said, let's jump into the review. So starting off with articulation, you can rotate his head 360 degrees, which is always nice to see. You can have him look up and down a decent amount, and then with that you can get a nice side to side tilt, and even with that you can get a nice spherical motion out of his head, so you can have him look pretty much anywhere you want him to look, which is really nice to see. So that being said, I'm very happy with the range of motion we have on this figure. And then when it comes to the arm, you can get a nice 360 degree rotation out of it, which is really nice to see. You can bring up the arm a good amount as well. Very happy to see that. And then with that being said, you can open up the arm a good amount. When it comes to the bicep, you can't rotate the arm 360 degrees on this side because of the armor plating, but on this side the bicep can be rotated 360 degrees. And then when it comes to the elbow bend, because it's double jointed, you can bring that forearm up a really decent amount. You can almost do a shoulder tap, but not quite because of the forearm and bicep clashing, but still very happy with that range of motion right there. And then when it comes to the hand, we know how this works. You can rotate 360 degrees and bend the wrist however you please. So with all that said, very happy with the range of motion throughout the arm of this figure. And then when it comes to the torso, you can rotate the torso 360 degrees, and if you wanted to, you can rotate the chest independently from the stomach, and then vice versa, which is always nice to see on these figures. And then you can have them lean back and forth a decent amount as well. By no means is it a crunch, but it's still good to have that range of motion there. And then with that being said, you can get a nice spherical range of motion out of the torso overall, which is always nice to see and leaves me content with this figure's torso articulation. And finally, looking at the legs, we can get that 360 degree rotation, which is always nice to see. And then when it comes to the splits, you can get almost a split. The leg with the disc blade sheath kind of restricts it, but that range of motion is still there nonetheless. Then you can bring up the legs if you want to sit down off the ledge of a cliff or in a chair or something like that. When it comes to the knee bend, you're not going to get a butt kick, but you can still get that leg back a decent amount for action or running poses, anything like that. So still good to see that range of motion there is good. And then when it comes to the feet, you can rotate them 360 degrees and bend them however you please. And overall throughout the legs, I'm very happy with the range of motion that we do have, and overall content with the range of motion and articulation throughout this entire figure. So with that being said, let's move things over to the accessories and features of the figure. Starting off with the swappable head, you just simply pop off the one that comes with the figure, and then you pop the other one on, and that second head is the biomask for Snake. And this thing looks really cool. It's very different from what we are used to seeing, very metallic metallic, very shiny, a lot of engravings, a lot of like intricate, line work done on this biomask. And then obviously if you want to swap the other head, you pop it off and pop the other one back on, easy as that. And then we have the swappable hands, 5 in total. We have 2 open hands, 1 semi-open hand, and then 2 holding hands for weapons and accessories. And then for the first weapon included, we do have the smart disc. Now we have 2 included. We have one that's closed up and kind of in a passive state, as passive as a predator weapon will get. And then we have the open up extended one that's ready to be thrown. And I just gotta say, we've seen this mold 100 times over, but I still think NECA did a phenomenal job with the smart discs, all the line work, all the little details, the wiring, the tubes. It just looks really good, and I have to give NECA credit for that. But yeah, no, these are the smart discs. And one thing I did forget to mention about the smart disc is that the sheath isn't exactly the most cooperative. I know this is something seen throughout a handful of predator figures, but I know you could probably manipulate the plastic with heat or something, but just on this figure in particular, he is having issues with the smart disc. This is the first time I'm having this issue. All the other Lost Tribe members were just fine, so I figured I would just point this out, seeing that this is my first encounter with this issue, even though it's something that people have ran into before. And then up next we have the combi stick, and this is it, and it's passive state and it's concealed form. It's the mold we've seen 100 times over, but it still looks good. A lot of detail with the sculpting, a lot of line work, a lot of stuff going on there, a lot of texture. The paint job looks good, really good color separation. I have no complaints with that whatsoever. Even though we've seen it 100 times over, it still looks good. And yeah. And then here we have the combi stick fully extended, and the handle is the same sculpt and everything. But then when we get to the extended bits, the paint job looks good, the sculpt looks good. I have no complaints with the visual presentation whatsoever. It's something we've seen 100 times over, especially throughout the Lost Tribe. So I don't really need to go in depth. Don't need to really repeat myself every video. But yeah, I think they just did a good job with how this extended version looks. And one piece of information I should throw in is that there is no clip on the back for the combi stick. I know that you may or may not care about this. Some people do, some people don't. If you don't care about it, good for you. If you do care about it, I understand the frustration. Personally, I like it when the clip is on the back, just so you have that option open to you if you wanted to put the combi stick on the back of your figure. I know it's not really necessary for the figure to function or anything like that, but I feel like it's nice to have that option. And for our next weapon, which is unique to Snake, is his dual scythes or his fang blades. Depending on where you look, the name changes. This is actually a really cool weapon, something that you would see a predator use. I think NECA did a really good job with the handles and the wrapping there. The blades, they're very clean, very sleek, very nice looking. I have no complaints with the visual presentation whatsoever. So I'm very glad these came out looking awesome, because these are the weapons unique to Snake. So you'd of course want the character unique weapons to look really good. And then for the final accessory, and that is the skull and spine. Now, I don't know if any of y'all caught on, but I love it when they include this accessory with a predator figure. It's just something that adds a little bit of flair to the variety spectrum of accessories that we do get. And it's a very appropriate accessory for a predator figure. And if it were up to me, I would include one with every predator figure. Sure, if you're an avid predator figure collector, you'd have a bunch of these just kind of laying around, but I feel like it's just such a cool, gimmicky kind of accessory. And visually, I think they did a good job. It looks like a skull and spine that a predator washed off and took for himself. I have no complaints with the visuals. I'm just happy to see that it's included with this figure, and with that we can move on. And here we are with the visual presentation. If you don't know what's about to happen, I'm about to absolutely praise the visuals and effort that NECA put into this figure.
It's almost like I like NECA products!
No, but yeah, if you couldn't catch on, I really do love the quality of NECA products. NECA does a phenomenal job at making sure all their figures look as lifelike, as detailed, and as close as to like the character that they're portraying. And I can do an entire overview video on the visual presentation of a NECA figure alone. Fortunately for you, that's not what this is. This is just a brief kind of like talking about the visuals, talk about the things that I think they did really good with this figure in particular. So with all that said, let's now focus on that. So one thing I want to address is Snake has shorter predlocks than a normal predator, and because of that, it kind of looks like he has a Karen cut. I just kind of can't unsee it, and now you kind of have to deal with it if you can also now see what I am seeing. So actually starting to complement the visual visual presentation of this figure, starting off with the sculpt work, starting with his body, all the wrinkles in his skin, the folds. There's the bags under his eyes, the kind of foldy gummy parts in his mouth, and then the veins pumping from his muscles, and then the netting that's down his entire body. It's all very impressive. It really sells the whole, this is the Predator, this is a living being, this is as real as this figure will look. And then going to his armor and his apparel, I really like the fur. I really like how they actually used some kind of real fur rather than it being like plastic that imitates fur. It's actually fur. So I think that was something that was really cool that they did. But going to his actual armor, I really love the weathering. How it looks chipped, it looks worn, it looks used, it looks like it's been places. I really love that, and it's just something I have to give props to NECA towards doing, because they do this with almost every figure they do. It's kind of the standard for them to have their figures look this good. So I really love the sculpt work on this figure. And before I forgot to mention, one thing I thought was really cool about Snake's design that plays into his name is if you look at the side of his biomask, you can actually see like kind of sculpted into the biomask these snake fangs. So I thought that was something that was really cool, just these snake fangs, the snake jaw kind of on his biomask, him being named Snake. I just thought it was a really cool tie-in to his name. So when regarding the paint job of this figure, it'll be much quicker than talking about the sculpt work of this figure. I think they did a great job, especially with the pigmentation of this figure's body. As you can see throughout the entire body, there's different patterns on him. It's not all the same pattern running down his entire body. Each part of his body is different, and I think they did a great job at having the colors blend and play well with each other, fluently transitioning from one pattern to another. So I really do like that. And then when looking at the armor, I think they did a great job at complementing the already wear and tear that we see from the scratches, dents, and all that. And the paint job really just adds that, allowing us to see the bronze color that kind of dominates the armor fade away because of the usage that Snake has put his armor through. So I think they did a great job with making the armor look used. I love the colors contrasting and blending with each other throughout his body. I can't compliment the paint job enough on this figure, but you get the point. So let's move on before I make an hour-long video talking about why I love NECA figures. But with all that said, let's do some size comparisons to put this bad boy into scale. Starting off with NECA's big chap, Jazz wears Halo the Spartan Collection Mark 5B Spartan. Jazz wears the World of Halo 3 ODST Rookie. Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series Shore Trooper. And finally, we have McFarlane's The Doomslayer. And alas, here we are at the turntable segment of the video. This is where I go over what I like, dislike, pros, cons, strengths, weaknesses, whatever you want to consider it. I just basically give my general thoughts and opinions, give y'all something to bounce off of, and go down into the comment section below and get a conversation started. I'll most likely reply to your comments because obviously I like talking about this stuff. So with all that said, let's hop into the negatives first. Now honestly, there isn't too much I dislike about this figure. The only thing that I think bummed me out was the fact that the smart disc could not go into its sheath, but I know that's a common problem, so I should have seen it coming in the first place. After that, I think the only thing I could even nitpick, it's not even a negative, would be I wish there was a clip on the back of the figure so you could have the combi stick there for display purposes, toyography purposes, whatever you want to show off your combi stick for. And yeah, those are the only two things off the top of my head that I can relatively think are in the negative realm of things regarding this figure. And then getting into the positives, the things that I like about this figure, there's a whole lot of that. The visual presentation obviously is a big one, so I have a whole segment about it. I think this figure looks amazing. There's a ton of detail that went into this figure. They even went an extra mile with the fur, which I, again, really like. So this is a great looking figure. This is also a great feeling figure. I love the articulation on this figure. NECA figures, for the most part, have really good articulation, and that is seen here in this figure. You can get a variety of poses for displaying or toyography or for whatever you want to display your figure in. And with that being said, it's great to have a dynamic stand with this figure so you can take full advantage of this figure's articulation. And then the plethora of accessories. Again, this is just another norm by NECA, but still, I think it's awesome how many accessories we get with this figure. It really, justifies the price of these figures, seeing that they're almost $40. So not only is this figure great looking and great feeling, but we get a great amount of accessories that go along with our figure. So I will admit though that this figure doesn't really do anything to make it stick out from the rest. This is just a really well-rounded Predator figure that looks great, feels great, comes with a great amount of accessories. It hits the NECA standard, and the only thing that would make this figure stick out from the rest is you liking the design more than another Predator, which is more subjective than a positive. So yeah, I just really think that this is a really well-rounded figure, despite it not really reinventing the wheel at all. It just does its job really well. So there's not really much else for me to add here. I do recommend this figure if you're an avid Predator figure collector and you only get them when you see them. If you do see this figure, do pick him up. He is a very well-rounded Predator figure. He does everything that he's supposed to. He looks great, feels great, everything that I said before. If you can just appreciate a really good figure, don't care what brand it is, this is also that kind of figure. Really well made, really well rounded. I feel like anyone could appreciate this figure if you're just a avid figure collector. And then obviously if you're trying to get all of the Lost Tribe figures like myself, you're gonna have to get him because he is part of the LA hunting party, even though he's part of the Serpent clan. So I do recommend this figure for any of those people. If you're just getting into collecting Predator figures, this is a good place to start. He's not overly complicated. It's a simple design. He comes with a bunch of Predator accessories to get you, get your foot in the door to getting used to the Predator collecting mindset. I don't know what I'm saying. Hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, with all that said, let's move out to the outro. So I do have to say, I do apologize if I sound like I'm all over the place during this video. I really was not feeling good when I first started making this video. I had a major toothache, a major headache. I just felt dead inside, and I knew I had to start working on this video sooner than later, and I tried powering through it, and I don't know if you can hear me kind of being dead in this video, but yeah, no, the first kind of half of the video I just kind of felt blech, and then I just kind of stopped working on the video, and then when I came back to it, I felt much better. I felt very more alive than I originally did. So hopefully I sound more alive as the video progresses, and hopefully that me being kind of dead in the first half doesn't ruin this video for you. I try to make my videos as lively and as interactive as possible, so hopefully that was the case here, even though I was dying inside. And with that said, I really do hope you enjoyed the video. A like and subscription would be awesome. You don't have to comment if you don't want to, but if you want to bounce off anything I said in the video, you're more than welcome to. I obviously like talking about this stuff, and don't worry about the bell. We both know that shit is broken. And if you want to see more content like this, there's plenty of it up on the channel. I cover a bunch of NECA stuff. I cover Halo and Star Wars stuff as well. So if any of that interests you, you're more than welcome to go check it out. And please have a great day and stay hydrated. It is important.